The faint, rotten egg in the shower that wasn't there last month, a sharp, chemical whiff when you walk past the tank in the garage, the hot, scorched smell that drifts up the first time the unit kicks on after a cold spell. If your water heater has started to smell, you are probably standing near it right now trying to decide whether this is just gross or genuinely dangerous. Here is the answer most people searching this don't get told fast enough. A water heater can throw off 4 completely different smells, and they sit on opposite ends of the danger scale. One is a weekend annoyance you can fix yourself for the price of a part. Another means you put the phone down, walk out the front door, and call for help from the driveway. The whole trick is telling them apart, and your nose alone can't do it. I have spent a fair amount of time crawling around water heaters and reading through what plumbers and gas techs actually say about this, so let me save you the guessing. Start with one question because it sorts almost everything. Where do you smell it? Is it in the water, meaning you notice it at the tap, in the shower, or when you fill a glass? Or is it in the air, meaning you can smell it standing next to the unit without running any water at all? That single distinction separates the harmless problems from the ones that can hurt you. Smells in the water are almost always a nuisance. Smells in the air around the unit are the ones you treat as serious until you have ruled them out. So let's deal with the dangerous one first, because if this is your smell, nothing else on the list matters yet. If you smell gas near the heater, treat it as a gas leak until proven otherwise. Natural gas and propane have no smell of their own. The utility adds a chemical called mercaptan specifically so leaks are detectable, and mercaptan smells like rotten eggs or skunk. That is exactly why this gets confused with the harmless sulfur smell we will get to in a minute. The difference is where it lives. A gas leak smells strongest in the air around the unit, near the gas line or the burner, and it does not fade when you stop running hot water. Propane is heavier than air, so it can pull low along the floor. There is one normal exception worth knowing. A brief, faint sulfur whiff at the exact moment a gas burner lights is just a trace of that additive escaping right before ignition, and it clears within a few seconds. A gas smell that lingers, gets stronger, or hangs in the air is a different story, and there is a trap built into your own nose. It is called odor fade. Within a few minutes, your nose adapts to a constant gas smell and you simply stop noticing it. A smell that seems to have gone away does not mean the leak stopped. It may just mean you can't smell it anymore, so trust that very first whiff. If you think it is gas, here's what you do, and the order matters. Leave the light switches, the thermostat, the plugs, and any flame completely alone because the smallest spark can ignite the gas. If you can safely reach the gas shutoff valve, turn it off on your way out. Get everyone out of the house, pets included, and leave the door open behind you so the gas can vent. Then, from outside or a neighbor's place, call 911 or your gas company's emergency line. Do not go back in until they tell you it is safe, and do not try to hunt down the leak yourself. A utility leak check is usually free, and that inspection is worth far more than whatever the repair ends up costing. Now the second smell that lives in the air, which is a burning or scorched odor. A burning smell splits into harmless and serious, and you need to know both. The harmless version shows up most often on a brand new water heater, or an older one running for the first time after a long idle stretch. New units carry a little manufacturing oil and a layer of dust on the burner, the elements, and the metal housing. The first few times it heats up, that residue burns off and you get a hot metal or faintly scorched smell. It is normal if it is faint if it only shows up in the first few hours of use or the first run of the season, and if it fades and does not come back. Open a window, let it run, wipe the dust off the outside of the unit with a damp cloth, and it clears on its own. The serious version smells different. A sharp burning plastic smell, an acrid or melting smell, means something electrical is overheating. That points to scorched or frayed wiring, a loose or corroded connection, or a heating element that is failing and pulling too much current. This is a fire and shock risk, not a wait and see. Shut the power off to the heater at the breaker, stop using it, and call a licensed electrician or plumber. Do not pull the electrical cover and start poking around a live connection. If the breaker has been tripping, or you can see scorch marks at the wiring, that is the same warning written louder. One more burning culprit catches people out, especially with gas units. Sometimes the smell is just a cardboard box, a bag of laundry, or a can of paint stored too close to a hot flue or burner and starting to scorch. Keep the area around a gas water heater clear. That is a fire hazard and usually a code issue too, so that covers the smells in the air. If your smell is in the water instead, you can take a breath because this is the most common search of the bunch and the least dangerous one on the list. The classic version is the rotten egg or sulfur smell coming out of your hot taps. This is hydrogen sulfide gas dissolved in the water, and as alarming as it smells, it is not the explosive danger people picture. It comes from sulfite-reducing bacteria living in the low oxygen environment of a warm tank. They feed on sulfur in the water and give off that smell, and the reaction gets a boost from the magnesium anode rod that most tanks ship with. The anode is a sacrificial metal rod that protects the steel tank from rust, but magnesium happens to feed this exact reaction. Before you do anything, run a quick test. Turn on the hot tap by itself, then the cold tap by itself, and smell each one. If only the hot water stinks, the problem is inside your water heater. If both the hot and the cold smell, the problem is your source water, a well or the city supply, and the fix is whole home filtration or shocking a well, not the heater at all. If it is hot only, you have a few fixes, cheapest first. You can flush and disinfect the tank, draining it and running a chlorine or hydrogen peroxide solution through to kill the bacteria, then flushing it clean. That often clears the smell for a while, but it can creep back if the anode keeps feeding the bacteria. You can also raise the tank temperature to around 140 degrees to suppress the bacteria. Just be careful because anything above 120 raises the risk of scalding at the tap, so treat that as a temporary move and then bring it back down. The durable fix is the anode rod itself. Swap the standard magnesium rod for an aluminum zinc alloy rod, which cuts the smell dramatically. The rod runs about $20 to $50 if you do the job yourself, and a plumber handling the swap usually runs $200 to $500 installed. If the stink keeps coming back no matter what you try, step up to a powered anode rod. That one uses a small electric current instead of a sacrificial metal, kills the reaction at the source, and never needs replacing. It costs more up front, around $200 to $300 for the unit, but for a chronically smelly tank, it is the permanent answer. There is a fourth smell worth a quick mention. A musty or moldy, damp basement smell around the base of the unit usually is not the water at all. It is moisture, often from condensation or a slow leak at the tank, a fitting, or the relief valve, feeding mildew on whatever is nearby. Look for dampness or a small puddle at the base. If you find standing water, you have a leak, which is a different repair. If it is just humidity, dry the area out and improve the ventilation. So put it back together simply. If you smell it in the air near the unit, take it seriously. A raw gas or skunk smell means you leave and call for help from outside. A burning plastic smell means you kill the power at the breaker and bring in a pro, while a faint burn-off on a brand new unit is nothing to worry about. If you smell it in the water instead, you are dealing with the sulfur nuisance, and the test is whether it is hot only or both taps. Hot only points at your tank and your anode rod. Both taps points at your source water. The smell was never random noise. It was your water heater pointing at one of 4 very different problems. And once you know where the smell lives, you know whether to relax or to act. If you want to handle the sulfur fix yourself, I have put the aluminum zinc anode rod and the powered anode rod down in the description, along with the rest of what gets mentioned here so you can match the part to your tank.